you've got a big day. So you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry nonstop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppables beads to your wash for 24-hour nonstop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
Hello and Merry Christmas. I'm Maria Costain, lead producer of the Big Story Podcast. You're listening to the Big Story Podcast feed from everyone here at Frequency Podcast Network. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Hope you're spending today with your loved ones and eating some good food and just really relaxing and spending the holiday however you want to. Today's episode of our Friends of Frequency is a timely one. Bite Back with Abby Sharp. Abby Sharp is a registered dietitian, and in this episode, she digs into willpower. What is it? Is it a moral failure if you don't have it? How to avoid crash diets? How to avoid feeling bad for yourself and bad about yourself around the holidays when your eating patterns and habits and routines are all out of line. It's a tough season, but Abby really guides you through it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Of course, if you do enjoy it, which why wouldn't you, be sure to check out Bite Back with Abby Sharp on the Seeker app or wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy.
Those who use willpower most effectively use the willpower to create the habits and the systems and the routines.
Welcome to another episode of Bite Back with Abby Sharp, where I dismantle diet culture rules, call out the charlatans spinning the pseudoscience, and help you achieve food freedom for good. Today we're diving into a topic that hits especially close to home during the holiday season upon us, and that is diet willpower. If you've been trapped in diet culture for most of your adult life, you surely know the binge restrict cycle of the holiday party circuit. Basically, you starve yourself all day leading up to the festivities, only to dive headfirst into the all-you-can-eat cheese buffet the moment you get a first whiff of the aged parm. Feeling defeated, you berate yourself for your lack of willpower, succumb to your negative self-reproach, and say, fuck it, I'm gonna go hard on my diet in January. Rinse and repeat. What if we went into this holiday season with a wildly different approach? One without the binge restrict cycle, the self-loathing, and the dependence on so-called willpower that a starved body and brain realistically can never have. Joining me today to unpack this is the host of the podcast Salad with a Side of Fries and author of the upcoming book Uncomplicating Wellness, Jenn Trepeck. Today, Jen and I will discuss why lack of willpower isn't a moral failure, how the holidays dry up our willpower bucket remarkably quickly, how to set ourselves up for success without a reliance on willpower, and how to reframe failures when we do inevitably overeat. Also, a quick reminder that my book, The Hunger Crushing Combo Method, which echoes a lot of the themes that we're going to discuss today, is now available for pre-order in the link below. Honestly, folks, pre-orders are super, super important to us authors. They play a huge role in the success of a book. So I would love if you would check out the descriptions to learn more. And right now, you'll get a free Hunger Crushing Combo Holiday Survival ebook if you pre-order today. So definitely check out the description to learn how you can redeem. All right, friends, let's get into it. All right. Hi, Jen. Thank you so much. It's so exciting to chat with you. I feel like this is such a critical conversation all year round, but especially as we head into the holidays. So thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Now, I kind of wanted to start with some basics here because, so often we, when people kind of quote unquote cheat or quote unquote mess up on their diet or even just have a hard time getting started making healthier habits, we tend to blame our lack of of discipline. We tend to think, oh, if I just had more willpower, then I'd be able to lose weight. If only I had more willpower, I'd be able to stop after eating one cookie instead of eating the whole sleeve. Why is this not a helpful way to frame behavior change?
Okay, so many ways to go with this, but fundamentally, one piece is that we misunderstand what willpower actually is. The other side of that is even our behavior is biochemical. Even willpower is biochemical. And we take this on as some sort of moral failing, and it's just simply not. But in order for us to really understand and, sorry for the pun, but digest that it's not a moral failure, we have to understand all of those other pieces of the biochemistry, because you're not failing. You know, even when we have those moments, like so much of this behavior is a direct reflection of other choices. I used to describe it as feeling like I was climbing Mount Everest naked and barefoot, white knuckling it, and everyone around me is like, climb. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you climbing? And you're like, are you kidding? You know, it's so frustrating when we feel that way. And when I learned some of this, it was like, oh, like a weight was lifted. I'm not broken. In fact, my body is doing exactly what we would expect it to do if we truly understand. So oftentimes that feeling of going off the rails or eating the whole sleeve of cookies is not even willpower, but a direct connection to restriction, to under-eating, typically earlier in the day, you know, but really living in this place of extremes, expecting perfection, and then having those moments where there's that temptation and feeling like we can't hold a candle to that temptation.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk more about the undereating piece in a moment. But yeah, I love in your book, you describe willpower as being like a muscle or like a phone battery. Can you kind of explain what you mean by that?
Absolutely. So just like our phone battery, it depletes and needs to be recharged. Just like a muscle, it can fatigue. And we need to strengthen and build that muscle. Or sometimes I even use the analogy of like a refillable cup of water. There's sort of ideas of understanding what drains from that cup, what drains the battery, what recharges it. And even are there things that we could do like a muscle that increase the size of the muscle or increase the size of the cup or the overall battery life in our daily lives? And so, well, I guess before we get to what replenishes it, let's talk about what depletes it. Because most of the time we misunderstand, like I said before, what willpower actually is. So willpower is simply self-discipline. So anytime we are using discipline, it's drinking from that willpower cup. Anytime we are making any kind of decision, it's drinking from that willpower cup. So if we think about what happens in a normal day, we wake up in the morning, we're making a decision about, am I getting out of bed or am I snoozing? We're making a decision of what am I wearing that day? Maybe that takes 20 decisions to get to what am I wearing that day. Then what am I eating for breakfast? Am I eating breakfast? If I have to commute somewhere, which direction am I going? And then there are even the choices that we don't realize we're making, like if you drive past a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts and you don't stop, it is still your brain clocking that that's there and you're not stopping. So most of the time, then we get to even things in our day that have real consequences to the choices, right? Things that really matter in life.
Right.
What's happening with our kids, making sure they're safe. What are we doing all day? Is everybody covered? Our work decisions. Then we get to the end of the day. It's no wonder that it feels like there is a magnet between you and that Dunkin' Donuts on your way home.
Totally.
You know, so it stands to reason that, of course, things are easier earlier in the day than later, after that cup is depleted, after that battery is drained.
Yeah. And you know, I think it's very important to make clear that like we do need some quote unquote willpower. It's not like we're doing away with all willpower, because willpower can act as this like really important spark to take that first uncomfortable step towards something that you want. And, you know, it's critical for handling emergencies, for example, for building self-efficacy. If we had no willpower to like respond in an emergency, we wouldn't be here, or our children wouldn't be safe, you know?
1,000%.
But of course, like you said, it becomes problematic when it fuels that shame, or it's relied on for every decision, or it's used to mask bigger issues. And, you know, we're coming to the holidays here when there's so many of these external factors that you're kind of speaking to that can lead to this willpower cup getting depleted more quickly, between the family time with a lot of people and the shopping and the cooking and the travel and the financial strain, then the decision fatigue, you know, even thinking about what you're going to wear to each party can feel overwhelming. And then, of course, after all that, you've got these endless trays of treats and booze and the poor sleep. And, you know, this is just not a supportive environment for us to be able to use willpower in a non-problematic way. And I want to kind of speak to some of those things, because if we're thinking about a supportive environment or not so supportive environment, as you said earlier, under eating, always going to be a setup for willpower depletion.
And the reason is, I just want to expand on that a second.
Yeah.
Our willpower is tied to our blood sugar. So if we do not have glucose or blood sugar, we will not have willpower. Now, here's the irony. So my specialty area is weight management. And the irony of it all is that old adage of eat less, move more. Well, eating less drops our blood sugar, drops our willpower. Then we feel like something's wrong with us when the tray of charcuterie and cheese and crackers and cookies and all the things has a voice and it's screaming at us. Of course, to quiet that voice, we have to raise our blood sugar. We have to eat.
Yeah. And we see this so often, you know, during the holidays, where folks try to kind of quote unquote save up their calories.
Oh, yes.
You know, knowing they're going to probably have a few glasses of wine. So they're not going to they're going to skip lunch, and they arrive at this party ravenous. And obviously, like you said, you can't make the best decision when your brain is deprived of fuel.
Totally.
And in the book, you make this really cool, interesting parallel to the judge's study on parole. Can you talk about that study? Because it's so fascinating to me, and I think it really does help us visualize this in a different way.
Absolutely. So it's a study that was really on understanding how important blood sugar is in our decision making. So the idea fundamentally is that if we are in a place of low blood sugar, our body experiences that as danger. In moments of danger, in an effort to find safety, the body says, what feels safe? What feels like my normal? What can maintain status quo? Maintaining status quo is not taking risks. Maintaining status quo is not doing something differently, likely reverting back to old behaviors and old habits. So in the study, they looked at it was prisoners who were up for parole, and essentially based on the time of day, played a major impact on whether or not they were granted parole. So those who were granted parole most were those who appeared in the morning and right after lunch, when the judge's blood sugar wasn't depleted.
Right.
Those who appeared just before lunch or later in the day received parole way less of the time, regardless of what the crime was. So if we think about, and the reason being there, right, is that naturally we're not willing to take the risk of someone being back out into society, potentially doing whatever it was again. We're looking for safety, maintaining status quo. And in those scenarios, maintaining status quo is that prisoner behind bars.
Staying.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so interesting.
So we take that to ourselves. Of course, when our blood sugar is low, the cookies, chips, baked goods, pasta, all the things that are those comfort foods are infinitely more appealing and infinitely more difficult to turn down or have a new experience at this holiday party compared to what we've ever done before, because our body is literally fighting for that old scenario.
Yeah, I always think of that Snickers commercial, like, you're not you when you're hungry, you know, like,
yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
My husband can obviously attest to that about me. But of course, like when we're running on fumes, low blood sugar, stress, which means increased cortisol, exhaustion, hangry, we're just too under-resourced to make more mindful decisions.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite reframes that you offer in the book is that willpower is best used upstream, not in the moment of temptation or when you're already super depleted. And this makes total sense to me. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. So what we see in all the research is that those who use willpower most effectively use the willpower to create the habits and the systems and the routines. So it does require a little bit of work up front, right? Going upstream for a period of time, using that willpower to create the habits such that over time, those habits become much more automatic and therefore don't require any willpower or any decision making. And then we get to the party and we still have a cup of willpower that we can use. The other thing is using that willpower upstream to put in place in our daily lives throughout the day, small things that recharge that battery, that refill that cup. So that again, when we enter that situation later in the day where we're looking to have that extra support, it's there rather than us sort of dumping this cup over and being like, there's nothing there.
Nothing left. Yeah.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super-sized laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
Give us some practical examples during the holidays. Like, what are some tactics to employ willpower upstream as we're getting into this, festive holiday party season?
Yeah. So one of the things, even what you talked about before of how we had this idea of saving up our calories for the party, let's not.
Don't do that. Never works.
Right. Let's make sure that we're fueling well throughout the day. Let's put that morning on autopilot. So what can you do now to put those mornings on autopilot? Maybe it's deciding what we're wearing the night before or planning it all out on a Sunday or something so that during the week, it doesn't require that brain power. One of my other favorite things is making sure that we have movement in every day. Movement and exercise actually increases our willpower for a variety of reasons. So building that into our day, even just recognizing that we want to eat and not show up to that party ravenous influences it. Accountability improves our willpower, refills that cup. So what does the accountability look like for you? By the way, accountability is not the food police.
Yeah.
I know so often that's what we have in our heads because, we've got a long history.
Yeah. That's what all the diets have taught us to. You got show up to Weight Watchers for accountability reasons, right? Like
totally
weighing in together.
Right. So accountability might look like saying to a friend, remind me to drink water after each drink. I'm giving you permission to say that to me. It might look like checking in with a friend who's not at the party to text them about how it's going. I had a client recently at a holiday event where we had a whole plan. He had done, I do this paper plate exercise with my clients. I actually have it as a bonus episode on my podcast, Salad with a Side of Fries, a nutrition nugget paper plate exercise that you can do before any holiday. I think I typically do it before Thanksgiving. But so we did this for this holiday. He had a plan and he got there And the way the food was set up, it was a buffet instead of things being on the table and like passing it around. And he turned to his wife and started to say something. And she said, how about I make your plate? And she went up to the buffet for him and put the plate together and brought it back to him. So using those external resources dramatically increased his willpower.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that increases willpower is generosity. And this one's really interesting. So it kind of goes back to that same thing with the judges and parole. So if we are in danger and our body is looking to maintain status quo and, fighting fear, that is all very me focused, right? We are the center of that. Inherently in generosity is making somebody else the focus. And if and when we are able to make somebody else the focus, it is sending signals to the body of safety if we are able to focus on someone or something else. So could you, during the holiday season, be sure that you're holding the door for the person behind you? Maybe buy somebody else's coffee that day or just before you head to that party. Could we make the focus of that party experiencing all the people over the food?
Right.
And making sure just little things to up the ante so that you have the willpower for that moment. And by the way, I also think part of that is the plan. And the plan that is for reality, not the plan that is for some textbook perfect moment that doesn't even actually ever exist.
Totally.
So include the treats that define the holiday for you.
Yeah.
If it's that gingerbread cookie, include the gingerbread cookie in the plan.
100%. Because the more you say, okay, I'm not having any treats at the holidays, that's just not realistic. And that's, on my platforms, we talk a lot about my framework, the hunger crushing combo. And that is this idea that we're going to dress up those naked carbs by combining and enjoying those foods.
Yes.
Not cutting out. We have to have this additive mindset so that we're not getting to the scarcity mentality that, of course, is going to dry up that willpower cup. It's like you just can't put yourself into a mindset of deprivation and denial and not expect that your body is not going to rebel.
1,000%.
I don't know, but I'm thinking about my own kind of upstream willpower tactics here. And for me, it's just like, how about learning to say no sometimes?
Yes.
You don't need to go to every party if that is going to drain your cup. And for me, I kind of know what my capacity is for socializing and my capacity is for not getting perfect sleeps. And so just being mindful about that ahead of time and just being like, you know what? I'm just going to decline this offer. And because I know it's in my best interest and just for, my own self-care. And that is okay. And being okay with that, I'm done being a people pleaser.
I know. I think that comes so same. And I always say I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yes. Same.
It is a constant practice.
Constant.
And the other piece is also saying yes to going to something also doesn't mean that we have to be there the whole time.
Correct.
Or that we have to show up right when it starts.
Or go right to the end.
Yes. And so if you're one of those people where that idea is mind-boggling to you because I get it. Or even I'm the one where canceling last minute is mind-boggling for me. Reminding yourself that when someone else does that, we're okay with it for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? It's more about managing that expectation. So if we message the host and say, can't wait for tonight, probably gonna arrive around whatever time, they know what to expect.
Yeah. Or I can't stay long.
And vice versa, can't wait, probably gonna have to leave at whatever time.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. And I'm all for an Irish goodbye, honestly. I think that's the way to do it at these things. So much less pressure. You don't feel like you have to, you're feeling anxious about the leave. Just go.
Yes, exactly. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention just distraction. So we talked about making the party about the socializing and the people versus the food.
Yeah.
This is also based in science and research. So the old study, it was the little kids with the marshmallows.
Yes.
And it was like, if you don't eat the marshmallow for 10 minutes, we'll give you 2 marshmallows.
Right.
But if you eat the marshmallow now, you're not going to get another one.
Right.
The kids who were able to wait out the time period are the ones who distracted themselves.
Yeah.
They played with their shoelaces. They counted ceiling tiles. They distracted themselves and paid attention to other things. We can do that too. And it might mean thinking about that and planning it a little bit and having, an idea of what we're going to do. Maybe it's easier to have something in your hand.
Totally.
Well, have a water, a club soda, a seltzer, whatever in your hand. Physically stand further away. Be sure that you're talking to people, whatever it is. You can add those distractions for yourself if we just sort of recognize it as a tool in our tool belt to increase that willpower.
Yeah.
To help us stick to the plan that we create.
Yeah. And for my friends who perhaps are not the most socially inclined, plan some conversations ahead of time. If you're worried about being awkward or not knowing what to do other than just beelining it to the buffet, have a few key topics that you feel like, okay, I'm going to talk to this person about this and this person about this. And I feel like that will kind of set you up for success in kind of keeping your night a little bit busy and not, like you said, a little bit of distraction from the buffet, especially if you've already actually eaten and your body is well fueled and you're kind of not actually physically in need of that sustenance.
Exactly. Great topics for this time of year. First of all, I think travel is 100%, going anywhere for the holidays. Who are you celebrating with? Is an easy one. Or even, are you doing a ton of shopping? Do you have a long list of gifts to buy?
Yep.
Things that are relevant to most people this time of year.
Great little talking points. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to close up here because obviously, diet culture is always trying to convince us that we need more willpower, when ideally we really should be setting up an environment to simply kind of need to rely on it less, like we've been talking about, and not relying on it for all the decisions, because as we've established, we are going to be in situations sometimes where our willpower cups are just already drained, like the holidays.
Yep.
How can people start building systems or habits right now so that we're not white knuckling it through December only to just go hard in January and then fall off the wagon in February, rinse and repeat?
Exactly. There are so many things. So I'm going to list a couple and I'm going to say, pick one. Pick one. Because I even think that's part of the all or nothing history that many of us have.
Yeah.
We try to do all of the things, which feels like overwhelming, another job, complicated, stressful, and then we throw the whole thing out the window. And that's where we're in this on, off, good, bad, black, white, yo-yo over and over. So pick one thing, play with it, pick the next thing. So sleep is an unbelievable tool for replenishing willpower. This time of year, that's harder. So maybe we're not picking that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One of my favorites is how we start the day. So is it possible, even though we're having some later nights this time of year, to wake up at the same time every day, to get first morning light to our eyes and eat a nutrient-dense meal within an hour to 90 minutes of waking up? We're deliberately adding these tools in to replenish that willpower throughout the day. And then you're going to have it. So it might mean putting this in your calendar as a reminder, because again, I hear it all the time. People will say, well, I just need to. Well, I just need to do it. No, how can we make it easy to do it so that doing it doesn't require more of that willpower, so that doing it doesn't require extra steps or brain capacity? So is it a reminder in the calendar? Is it an alarm on your phone? Is it a Post-it on your refrigerator or a Post-it on your front door or on your nightstand? How can you make it easy to do the thing that you want to do. That, by the way, is part of the magic in behavior change, that we don't actually rely on ourselves to make it happen. We include the environment and make it easy, dare I say, effortless, to remember to do the thing. Have other things remind you so that it's not one more thing on your to-do list.
I am so amazed by all this. I feel like this is going to be so helpful for so many folks listening right now, especially as we head into the holidays, but really all year round. Like, these are skills that if we start to develop them right now, they are going to kind of be able to get us through all of these different seasons of life. As, you know, like you said, there will be times when the willpower cup is a little bit lower than others. So super helpful. I'm going to be leaving links to your podcast, Salad with a Side of Fries, in the show notes, and also your new book, Uncomplicating Wellness. So thank you so much again for joining me, Jenn.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. We could talk forever. So loved it.
This was such an important conversation for this time of year, as I feel like a lot of us may be feeling the constant ups and downs of indulging and punishing, rinse, repeat. But I wanted to leave you with some actionable strategies that you can employ following a more indulgent holiday meal to help you stop this cycle in its tracks. First of all, pause and reframe. Instead of spiraling into guilt or like a Last Supper mentality where you think, oh my God, I blew my diet, I might as well go hog wild, I want you to pause and reframe the experience as this. I had a meal, those cookies were pretty tasty, and now I'm in control to choose what happens next. Tomorrow is not a time to pay for my sins. It is another delicious day to make choices that fuel my body, mind, and soul. Making a vow to yourself not to restrict or punish yourself helps prevent 2 cookies from becoming the whole tin. Number 2, drink lots and lots of water. Alcohol, sweets, and fried foods often leave you feeling dehydrated, bloated, and constipated. So make sure you're upping your hydration the next morning to stop feeling like you're being punished and get yourself into a better baseline groove. Number 3, eat breakfast. Yes, even if you're feeling physically a little icky or emotionally ashamed from how much you ate the day before. Start with a refreshing breakfast that combines protein, fiber-rich produce, and healthy whole food fats, not as a punishment, but as an act of self-care to help to stabilize blood sugars, reclaim your natural hunger and satiety cues, and help you start your day with a nourishing mindset. Number 4, skip the militant boot camp trying to work off your quote-unquote indiscretions and focus on adding some joyful movement into your day. Movement can help support digestion if you're feeling a little sluggish down there. It can boost your mood during a post-meal crash, and it helps to stabilize blood sugars and energy levels. And finally, the next time another holiday event is on the calendar, tune into your body's needs with curiosity instead of judgment. If you feel yourself dipping into that all or nothing kind of thinking about what and how much you're going to eat, pause and ask yourself what you really need. Did I restrict too much today and now my appetite is out of control? Am I tired, stressed, and overstimulated and looking for an emotional pick-me-up? Sometimes what feels like another craving is really your body asking for calm, connection, or more calories, and just a little non-judgmental check-in can help you get the answers that you need. Remember, friends, the holidays are all about connection and joy, not food perfection. And overeating once in a while is a normal human experience, not a crisis. The most powerful strategy that you have is to normalize it. Acknowledge it happened, care for yourself with kindness, and move forward. Every choice is another chance to align with how you want to feel. No waiting until January required. And again, on that note, thank you again to Jenn Trepeck for helping me bite back against diet culture. And I'll be leaving links below to her new book, Uncomplicating Wellness, and of course to my upcoming title, The Hunger Crushing Combo Method, which is now on pre-sale. Thank you again so much for your support thus far. It really does mean so much. Signing off with Science and Sass, I'm Abby Sharp. Thanks for listening.